Welcome to Storytime for Kids.
And remember, if you haven't already done so, hit that like and subscribe button for more stories. Today, we're going to read Dinofours, It's Time for School by Steve Metzger and illustrated by Hans Wilhelm. It was early September and Albert was going to school for the very first time.
Mommy, will you stay with me at school?
Asked Albert. I'll stay for a while, said Albert's mother, and then when you're ready, I'll leave.
I'll never be ready,
said Albert. Albert and his mother walked inside the school. A friendly dinosaur greeted them.
Hi, I'm Mrs. D. I'm your teacher,
she said.
What's your name?
Albert,
said Albert in a tiny voice. Albert looked around. He saw children playing in different parts of the classroom, but he didn't know any of them.
Mommy, please don't go,
said Albert.
I'm still not ready.
Okay, said Albert's mother. What should we do?
Let's play over there,
said Albert, pointing to the sand table. Albert and his mother used shovels and funnels to see which containers held the most sand. When they filled the last one, Albert's mother said, Now it's time for me to go, but before I leave, I'd like you to know something. Albert's mother sang this song to him. You're growing up, it's time for school. Today's the day you start, but don't forget you'll always be right inside my heart. Albert smiled. Bye-bye, Albert, said Albert's mother as she walked out of the door.
Bye-bye, Mommy,
said Albert. All of a sudden, a new boy burst into the classroom.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brendan,
he shouted.
Wow, look at all these toys. I'm going to have so much fun. Goodbye, Mom. See you later, alligator.
Albert watched as Brendan quickly made a mud dough dinosaur. Then, Brendan skipped over to the blocks area and, lickety-split, built a tall tower with colorful blocks. Next, he raced over to the easel where he painted a tree in just a few seconds.
I'm done,
Brendan said.
Now what do I do?
Mrs. D led Brendan to the puzzle table. Albert turned to see what the other children were doing. Tara was carefully building a firehouse with blocks and pieces of bark. Joshua was looking for his name on the name chart. And Danielle and Tracy were playing Mommy and Baby in the dress-up area. That made Albert think about his mommy, and he began to cry. In a moment, Mrs. D was next to him.
You miss your mommy, don't you, Albert?
Asked Mrs. D.
Yes,
sniffled Albert.
She'll be here later after our story time,
said Mrs. D.
But right now, I could really use your help. Do you see that doll in the dress-up area? That doll is very sad.
Why is he sad?
Asked Albert, wiping his eyes.
I don't know,
said Mrs. D.
Maybe you could ask him.
Albert went over to the dress-up area and asked the doll why he was sad. He held the doll's mouth to his ear so he could hear the answer.
He said he misses his mommy,
said Albert.
I thought so,
said Mrs. D.
What do you think would make him feel better?
I think he wants to hear a story,
said Albert.
Sometimes my mommy reads to me when I'm sad.
That's a great idea,
said Mrs. D. Albert brought the doll to the story corner and showed him all the pictures from Goldilocks and the Three Bears. That made Albert feel a little better. But when Albert heard the sound of crying, he knew someone else was unhappy. Who could it be? He looked over at the puzzle table. It was Brendan. Albert walked over to the table where Brendan was sitting.
What's the matter?
Asked Albert shyly.
I miss my mommy,
said Brendan.
I'm sad.
He's sad too,
said Albert, pointing to the doll.
Maybe he's sad because he wants a toy car,
said Brendan as he looked closely at the doll.
He saw one in the store, but his mommy and daddy said he couldn't have it. Let's make him a toy car, okay?
Okay,
said Albert. Brendan and Albert built a long car. Then they went to the blocks area and gave the doll lots of rides.
This is fun,
said Albert.
Yes,
yelled Brendan.
I think he feels a lot better now.
During the rest of that morning's playtime, Albert had a wonderful time with Brendan, his new friend. They especially enjoyed making giant mountains at the sand table. Later on, Albert met some of the other children. He and Danielle played a restaurant game in the dress-up area. Danielle was the chef and Albert was the waiter. They served mud dough cake to their customers. At snack time, Albert sat next to Tara. He was surprised when Tara tried to take most of the crackers from the basket. Mrs. D told her she could only have 3. During outside time, Albert dug for worms with Tracy, and they even found a few. Albert wanted to keep them, but Tracy said they needed to stay in the ground to live. And at story time, Albert and Joshua giggled at the silly rhymes that Mrs. D read. When Mrs. D finished reading, the children turned to face the door. All the parents and babysitters were waiting for them.
Mommy, Mommy,
Albert shouted as he ran to his mother.
I love going to school. School is fun. Can I come back tomorrow?
Yes, Albert, his mother said, and even the day after that. Then Albert sang a new song to his mother.
I'm going up. Now I'm in school. I played and ate my snack. Mommy, I had fun today, but now I'm glad you're back.
When he was finished, Albert gave his mother a great big hug. The end.